Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be looking at a movie that apparently nobody in the world thinks is just okay. Yeah, really. Everyone that I've come across and asked about this movie, they've either had one definitive opinion on it. Either it's pretty good or it's pretty bad. I don't know why. Like, does no one think that this movie is just okay? But granted, then again, I also don't think that this movie is just okay. I'm actually more in the first category. Though I can see the flaws in this movie, I am more leaning towards the first one, but still, no one thinks that this movie is okay. I've always just found that kind of strange. But with that, let's start looking into it. So our movie starts off with the gods making the city of gold because they just got bored, I guess, and decided to do that. They leave immediately after, so yeah, I guess that they were just really bored and wanted to make a city of gold. I guess I would want to do that too if I was a god. And then we cut to Cortez talking about entering a new world on his horse Altivo, in which the horse is voiced by Frank Welker and Cortez is voiced by Jim Cummings. They are in a movie together. This is amazing. Okay, so if you guys don't know who they are, learn. Seriously. Learn. These guys are voice acting legends. But pretty much Jim Cummings has done a lot of prominent roles, most of them being, or at least one of the more famous ones, are Robotnik on the darker Sonic cartoon. Yeah, remember that darker one? Yeah, he voiced Robotnik on that. He voiced Darkwing Duck and Negaduck on Darkwing Duck. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that one. And also, he played, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. So yeah, he's played quite a few prominent roles. And Frank Welker has played Scooby-Doo in literally every version there is. Yeah, really, every modern day version there is, Frank Welker is the most current voice of the character. He also played Metatron, I think, in all the Transformer movies, although he might have played someone else in them. But yeah, I am pretty sure that I played Metatron, and he also played Slimer in the real Ghostbusters. So yeah, he played that annoying little thing you want to beat to death again. Yeah, good for him. So yeah, those were their more prominent roles, and they are voice acting legends, so seeing them come together for a movie is awesome, especially for an animation fan like myself. Just wanted to bring that up. That is really awesome to see them together in a movie. So, yeah, they discuss going to the new world, and then we cut to something just as equally as important. Tulio and Miguel scamming people with loaded dice. Truly, just as equally important. But eventually, they do decide to play one more time over a map that is apparently a map of the New World, or just a map of El Dorado. So, Miguel wants to do it, but Tulio doesn't really want to, seeing as they already got a lot of money and it's just a map. But he gets wrapped into it, and they eventually do win. Big surprise. But the other guys find out that their dice are loaded, and they start chasing them. But luckily, Tulio and Miguel have a fake sword fight, so that fixes everything. And they get away completely unharmed. But unfortunately, they're being chased still, so they gotta jump into barrels. Obvious conclusion. And yeah, these barrels look pretty bad. Really, this movie has really good 2D animation, but when it comes to the computer animation, yeah, it's not that well integrated. And the barrels are the most obvious part with this. But yeah, now they're on the boat. So it of course takes until nightfall to get out. And yeah, I guess none of the crew heard them trying to break out these barrels at all. Because I guess they're all idiots or deaf or something, I don't know. And eventually they do see them pop out. Yeah, it takes them popping out of the barrels for them to notice, hey, there are guys in the barrels. We know that they've been making noise all night, but hey, look at that, they're in the barrels. We didn't know that. So they decide to take them to Cortez, who decides that he'll flog them and then take them to Cuba, where they'll be put on the sugar plantations for the rest of their natural lives and made slaves. This movie can be dark at times. But eventually they have the ingenious plan of tricking a horse into getting a crowbar instead it gets the keys, and they break out of their prison and then go on an escape boat when they throw up an apple to give the horse so it'll shut up, and then the apple bounces off of everything and lands in the water, so then they gotta save the horse. Yeah, ingenious plan there. But eventually they do get on the rowboat, but they run out of supplies then because they brought the horse. And they're getting followed by sharks. I really want to know what happened after that. How would they fight off sharks? Or did the sharks just leave or something? I really want to know. But then eventually they do end up on an island, which is apparently the island for El Dorado. What a coincidence. And Miguel still has the map because reasons. And they decide to just follow it because it could lead to a city of gold. I mean, yeah, okay, I guess I would want to join in on that too. And they eventually do find it, but it turns out to just be a big rock. Until one of the natives comes running out with a stolen piece of gold, and the guards chase her down, and they bump into Tulio and Miguel, and they just decide, well, they're random people outside this gate, let's just bring them in. So they bring them into the city, into El Dorado, and they're mistaken for gods. Common mistake. And then they just get a big temple because they already had that on standby, I guess. I guess that they just really want to use this giant temple for any god or anyone they would mistake for a god who comes into the town. Did the gods that made the city just make that? Just like, hey, if we want to stay here on vacation, let's make this giant temple for ourselves. And then we get the up the stairs joke from Kung Fu Panda. Guess it appeared somewhere first, okay. There's actually another joke like that in this movie. Kind of strange, like another joke from DreamWorks that would appear in one of their other movies. I just find that kind of neat. And then they pretty much have a feast after bumping into Chell, who hears about their plan to pretty much just con the whole city and get the gold and go back to Spain and buy Spain. And Chell decides that she wants in on the scam because she wants to leave. Because reasons. Yeah, they never make this clear. Why'd you want to leave the city? Like, okay, I know there were planned sequels for this movie and the box office that they didn't get at least $20 million back. Yeah, it makes sense why there weren't any, but were they planning on actually explaining why she didn't want to stay in that city in the sequels? Really, I feel like there needs to be an explanation for this. But she gets wrapped up in their scam because she knows the natives and everything, and she can teach them about the culture. So then immediately that night she leaves so Tulio and Miguel can get drunk and not learn anything about the culture that they need to know about. Thanks, Chell. And then they wake up the next morning, somehow without a hangover, and Sheko Khan, the speaker for the gods, who seriously, this guy should have just been wearing a red flag. How had no one noticed that this guy was a villain until recently? Seriously. This guy was just like walking around saying, I'm the villain. How would you not notice that? Or were you afraid of him or something so you didn't get rid of him? Really, there should have been an execution a long time ago for this guy. But yeah, he decides he's gonna sacrifice one of the natives, but Tulio and Miguel won't stand for that, so they decide to save him and just make up some crap to just throw him off. And then they pretty much decide that that was too close a call, and Tulio gets very nervous about everything, so he pretty much wants to keep it on a low profile, but Miguel then goes walking around in the city as Shell, for some reason, covers for him. Yeah, why'd she cover for him? Was it because she had a thing for Tulio? I mean, really, why'd she cover for him? I just want to know. And then we find out that apparently Sheko Khan has been making really dumb requests in the name of the gods, and everyone listened to him because there are real gods in the city, or at least from their point of view, and this guy just says that he's a speaker for the gods, and I guess that they don't think that the gods can speak for themselves. So they're immediately on his side, I guess. And eventually Miguel just says, okay, just take the day off. So I guess that fixes everything. And he just sort of goes walking around the city and doing stuff to a stupid Elton John song. Yeah, I really don't like Elton John. Sometimes he'll have some pretty good music, but most of the time, to me, he's just my Randy Newman. Like, to me, it always just sounds like he's singing the same thing. In fact, I like Randy Newman's music more than I like his. So, yeah, I just really don't like Elton John. And his music is very, very prominent in this feature. So much excitement. And then we see that Tulio and Shell might be making out, but Shell's a bit too low to be doing that. This is why this movie was rated PG, isn't it? And then we see Sheko Khan burst into the room because Miguel is having fun in the city, and I guess gods never do that in his book. So he decides to ask Tulio about it, and he confronts him like a crazy man. So Tulio is of course put off by this and tries to get away from the scenario as fast as he can. But then all of a sudden, Sheko Khan just says, no, the gods need to be playing ball because reasons. So it's a big ball game, and now pretty much they just gotta play it, even though they don't really know how to play. But eventually that's okay because an armadillo comes in as the replacement for the ball and starts defying gravity so they can win. Of course. And yeah, eventually they do win, but Miguel gets bumped on the head, which will play a part in a little bit. But now Sheko Khan says that, okay, let's sacrifice everyone else who lost. But Miguel has had enough of this, so he finally decides to stand up to Sheko Khan. Feels like someone should have done that a long time ago. But Sheko Khan sees Miguel bleeding and immediately realizes that they are not bleeding gold like in Gods of Egypt, so they must be false gods. So then he pretty much decides, okay, I'm gonna rage war on this because they're not gods and they're about ready to leave the city. They can't get away with it, I guess. So yeah, now he's pretty much raging war. I don't know why I can't talk there. Yeah. And he's making a stone jaguar come to life. Obvious plan. But As that's going on, Miguel is falling more in love with the city, and Tulio is falling more in love with Chell by giving her small flowers with birds on them. I don't know. But eventually it's the night of a party, and also Miguel found out that Tulio and Chell are dating, which really annoys him for some reason. And that comes after the boat is now completed, so it's their last day. And also the chief makes an odd line saying, "To err is human," to Miguel. Does that mean that he knows that they're human? I really want to know that. But anyway, he might know they're human, he might not. And pretty much they're just holding a big party again because the gods are leaving. No, I don't know if the chief even knows that they aren't gods. Drops a hint. Is that supposed to mean that they are? That he knows, or does he not? I don't know. I really want to know the answer here. But, of course, the party is destroyed because Sheko Khan goes rampaging with a stone jaguar, and another joke that would pop up in another DreamWorks movie comes in. One where a person is crushed by a heavy object, yet they somehow say that they're okay. This would come back later on in How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2. And, yeah, I think that's kind of neat they brought these jokes back. But eventually Tulio and Miguel do defeat Sheko Khan by having an argument in front of him. And apparently that argument was real, too, as when they defeated him by knocking him off a cliff and getting crushed by a jaguar and falling into a whirlpool, which apparently leads outside the city. Don't know how that works. And apparently he bumps into Cortez, who I guess was just tracing the boat here. And he's ready to destroy the city. Yeah, I don't know how Sheko Khan survived that, but yeah, he did somehow. But apparently Tulio and Miguel's argument became real at some point until they remembered, oh yeah, we should be beating up this guy. So, yeah, they've kind of separated as friends now. And oh, you know, loud. Really? This movie was doing so good at not falling to cliche because it didn't do the liar revealed story, but now it had to do this. Really? This is by far the weakest part of the movie is when they're just, like, acting like they're not friends, when we know it's gotta be resolved. Really, this is the weakest part, and I don't think they need to do it. But, yeah, now they're not friends, and Elton John's song makes prominent. I'll talk about that song later. And now they're separating and going their own ways as Tulio is getting ready to go back to Spain with all his gold and Chell and a boat, and Miguel has got to stay in the city. But oh no, now Cortez is coming in, and he's got to destroy the city and take all the gold. So apparently they're not able to fight that for some reason. And Tulio pretty much decides, okay, well, I guess if I go broadside with the boat, then I can hit over the two pillars holding open the gate to the city, and then that'll save the city, but I'll destroy the gold. So that's pretty much his ingenious plan, and he decides not to stuff any of the gold into his pockets, because we've seen that he has pockets in his vest, and there are kind of small little bricks of gold that he could use to put in them, but that would just make too much sense. And yeah, I guess I can't put on any of those necklaces made out of gold or any of those earrings made out of gold or anything like that because, you know, those are just made out of gold and those would be easily able to be taken with you. But that would just make too much sense. So, pretty much, they are about ready to leave, but oh no! There's something wrong with the boat! So Miguel comes down and helps out. And now he has to leave the city. Bummer. And they eventually save the city as Cortez decides that he's done with Sheko Khan. I guess meaning that he's going to kill him or do the same thing that he was going to do to Tulio and Miguel. and make him a slave for the rest of his life. Like I said before, this movie can be dark. And now Tulio and Miguel have made up, and they go off looking for more gold, and the movie ends to another bad Elton John song. So that's pretty much the story, and yeah, the story is the weakest part of this movie. Really, the story is where this movie gets pretty weak. There are a lot of moments where it's pretty cliched, and really the movie only works through the characters and the great animation. If it weren't for that, then this story would have made it fall flat. But luckily it does have good character and animation, so you can overlook the bad and cliched story at times, but just judging on the story alone, it's really cliched at times. I mean, okay, I'm glad that they didn't go for the whole liar revealed story arc, but the separation of friends story arc is just as cliched, and yeah, it's still really boring to watch that, and I really do kind of wish that they had gone for something a little bit different, because until that whole entire separation of friends thing, the movie was really good. And yeah, I will say though that it does have some really strong humor that's downright hilarious at times, and also, this is a more darker DreamWorks movie. There are some darker aspects. There's even swearing, which I guess if you've seen Ants, then you wouldn't really be that surprised about that. But still, this is one of their few movies that swear, so I will give them props for that. And for some odd reason, it's always Tulio who swears. Why is that? But yeah, I do think that the story does have some good aspects, but all in all, it's not really worth it. Like, the story alone, if it weren't for anything else, then the story would fail. But luckily there are some other good aspects of the movie that do make it still a strong film, but the story all by itself isn't good enough to save it. So for the story, I give it a 5 out of 10. It really needed some work and some proper polishing, but yeah, it does have its moments, but yeah, still 5 out of 10 because there are a lot of cliched moments in this. But luckily, other aspects of the movie do make up for that, so let's discuss those. So then we have the characters, who I gotta say are probably some of the best parts of this movie, and they are a lot of fun. So let's start off with the two main ones, but my favorite first, Tulio! And yeah, I honestly really do like this character. For one, he wears a vest, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Don't call me biased. I like vests. Deal with it. And also, he wears my favorite color, so that's pretty cool. Why am I discussing his clothes right now? Okay, so yeah, he's more the realist of the group, and he's out of the two, and he's also more the schemer. He pretty much comes up with the plans, and Miguel finds a way to execute them. And yeah, Tulio's my favorite character in this movie. Really, maybe it's just because I like more cynical characters and more sarcastic ones, or more the schemers in movies. Yeah, for some odd reason I really do like those type of characters, but maybe it's also because I see a lot of myself in this one character. Really, I see a whole lot of myself in this character. I don't really know why, I just do. Like, there are little things that I do that really do show up in this movie, and it's actually kind of creepy how similar I am to this character. Really. I honestly see a lot of myself in this character, and that's either really cool or kind of creepy to me, so either way, I do still like this character a lot. And yeah, he's very likable, and he is pretty fun. So then after him, we have Miguel, who I do still like in this movie. He is still also a likable character, but yeah, I like Tulio a bit more. Again, it might just be because I'm a little bit biased, because I do see a lot of myself in this character, and I do like more of the characters that Tulio was like, but I don't know, maybe that's it, but either way, I do still like him more than Miguel. And that's not to say that Miguel is bad or anything, he is still a likable character as well. He's more of the fun type of character, and he also is looking for more adventure and excitement, so that's pretty much more his thing. And while I do still like those characters, I can't really get into them as much, and mainly that's because I don't really act like that, I guess, or something, I don't know. Like, for some reason, I just can't get into those type of characters as much as I can with the other type, like Tulio's. But they do at least work together well as a team, and I do like seeing them working together, so I will give them that. They're both really likable, so yeah, a movie that found a way to get me to like con men, I'll give them credit for that. So then after them, we have Chell, who is alright. Yeah, she's kind of one of the more weaker characters in this movie, but that's not to say I hate her or anything. Chell is more up in a combination of the two characters. She's more of a mix of Tulio and Miguel, and yeah, with that in mind, she's sort of the perfect one to work together with them. She's also more grounded, so she can keep them more on track. Though she does cause half of the distractions in this movie. Know something that we don't, Chell? But, yeah, she is okay, but I do still think that she's not quite as likable as the other two. Maybe that's because she has less screen time or something, so you don't really get to know her as much. And the whole entire reason why she wants to leave the city is completely shrouded in mystery, but I don't know, maybe that's it, but yeah, I just think that she's an okay character. And then after her, we have the Chief, who I honestly found to be a really likable character. I don't know, maybe it's something about his more warm appearance and everything, or maybe it's just the way that he seems that he is a leader. Like, this whole movie, he seems like a natural leader in the city. Like, he's warm and comforting, yet he can also form attacks and you don't want to mess with him. He's very strong, which is one thing that I thought was really cool, especially during the last scene. Especially during the climax of the movie when they're trying to break down the gates. Yeah, he holds up a whole entire stone pillar by himself. That was freaking awesome. Seriously, this guy is awesome. But yeah, I honestly do really like this guy. He is pretty likable. And his voice does also play a part into that. Like, his voice does sort of work with that. Like, it's warm and comforting, but you can also tell that he means business. So, yeah, I do like him for that. Then we have Shekel Khan, who... Yeah, again, was this guy supposed to be an obvious villain? Like, really, how did no one notice that this guy was going to be a villain? Seriously, again, do you just need, like, a sign that says, I'm evil, or something? Really, there's nothing subtle about this guy. I mean, he lives in, like, this giant dark temple where he has, like, mystic stuff going on the whole time. Like, really, nothing to this guy screamed red flag at all? Okay, I guess it's whatever. But, yeah, pretty much this guy was an obvious villain, but it is more fun, but he is more fun of a character when he embraces it, and he does have some funny moments. But yeah, really, he's not that great a character, and his whole entire reason for being evil is these gods weren't how my book said they would be. And yeah, that's kind of dumb there. But outside of him, but yeah, he's pretty much a pretty weak villain. And he killed a really likable guard guy. Truly, his worst crime yet. So, yeah. Let's have a moment of silence for that guard. moment over. Okay, so yeah, he was probably one of the more weaker characters in this movie too. But then we go on to the weakest character of them all, Cortez, who actually does have a presence to him, and you can tell that he is a really cool character. If only he had enough screen time. Yeah, he really just sort of disappears for most of this movie. He shows up in the beginning as like a character who you would think would be like the main villain, but then he only comes back near the end. And he kills the main villain. So is he like an anti-hero or something? But yeah, his voice is awesome though. I will give Jim Cummings that he did a great job with this role. And yeah, I will admit that he is probably one of the cooler parts of this movie, but still, I feel like he needed more screen time. I don't know. Maybe they were planning on using him more for those sequels that never happened. That could be the reason why he appears so little. I don't know, but either way, it still does feel like he had something that he was going to do more, but he just never got to do it. Then after him, we have Altivo, who's a horse. That's pretty much it. He's an okay character. I do still kind of like his characteristics, and they do show that he does have a personality to him. There are also some pretty funny moments where he acts like he's talking while he's just saying horse things. Yeah, I don't know why. That was just kind of funny to me. Like, when Tulio and Miguel first enter the city, they're just, like, surprised, and they just say El Dorado. And then you see the horse saying that, too. I mean, that's just pretty funny there. Even when they ask, even when Tulio says, okay, anyone ready, and everyone else who's ready to leave the island, say I, and then everyone else says I, even the horse says it. I do find that kind of funny. So I do like those little characteristics and aspects that they put into them. So for the characters, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. They are by far the best part of this movie. They make this movie to me. That and the animation, which I'll talk about next. But really, the whole entire stuff with the characters makes this movie more likable and enjoyable. All the characters are pretty likable, even the ones with little development and who hardly even show up on screen do have a presence to them. So, yeah, I do like I do like movies that will do that. And yeah, I honestly do kind of wish that there were some sequels with these guys, because I wouldn't mind seeing more of them. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the characters. 8 out of 10, they're pretty likable. Now let's get on to the animation. For the animation, this movie, it's kind of a mixed bag. Yeah, while I will say that as a big fan of classic 2D animation, hand-drawn styles, yeah, I did appreciate this movie. Yeah, you guys might not know it that much, but yeah, there was a time when DreamWorks did do hand-drawn animation. In fact, they had 4 movies for it. And yeah, this is another one of them, and it is pretty good, and I do still really like the animation. It does sort of seem a bit strange, though. One of the reasons is that it didn't really need to be animated. Yeah, Doug Walker made this argument too. It didn't, and yeah, he's kind of right. It didn't need to be animated, really. It could have just been done live action, but then again, you also can't get some of the more cartoony reactions that the characters have. Yeah, the animation in this movie sort of mixes more in the realistic style of the Prince of Egypt with the character animation, but it'll also mix in more with the Looney Tunes style as well, especially in some parts where you can clearly tell they did, like in the song It's Tough to Be a God, they mixed that in more a lot too, and it did make sense, though they were drunk, so. But yeah, then there are also some scenes that you can't really do in anything but animation, like It's Tough to Be a God. That song could only really be done in the way they imagined it in animation, so yeah, there are some moments like that too, and there are also some moments that stand out that it's Computer animation. Yeah, whenever they do computer animation in this movie, it does kind of stand out. Especially with those barrels, really. Those things did look fake. But then there were also some moments where the animation is really, really good. Yeah, this is coming from DreamWorks, so you can't really expect anything else. I mean, they are a great studio, and yeah, you gotta expect that, yeah, they're gonna do some great work with their animation. And that's still pretty prominent here as well. The animation is very beautiful to look at, and one thing that I really noticed that I like in this movie is the facial animation on the characters. Seriously, the facial animation in this film is really well done. Sometimes the characters' animation in their faces will have more of a realistic look to it, but it'll also kind of mix in with the cartoony look. And that together does kind of make for an interesting look to it, and I gotta say, it actually does come off pretty well. And there are even some nice little moments where they just put in stuff with character. Like, there's one moment that Tulio was really angry, so his lip twitches. I just like those little touches. But then again, yeah, you didn't really need to do it in animation, but then you also had to. But the animation is really good, except for when it isn't, and yeah, the animation is just all over the place, really. I mean, it's really good animation, I will say that. I mean, okay, yeah, one of the guys who does the animation for DreamWorks did come from Disney. What else would you expect? And yeah, I will say that the animation in this movie is pretty well done. They even developed some new softwares for it, for the water animation and everything that they do in the final battle and stuff. So I will give them that. They did pretty good with that, and some of the water animation that was done on computers was pretty well immigrated. And they do make the city very colorful. And yeah, there are even some nice moments where they add in little touches that I actually kind of found out about sometimes through the DVD extra. Which, yeah, I've actually seen twice. It's kind of the first movie that I've ever actually watched the DVD extra for twice. But, yeah, one of the little things I noticed that they brought up is that in the opening scene with Tulio and Miguel, they are the only ones wearing bright colors in that alley. That's some nice little details there that I really do like how they add in. So, yeah, I really did like those little touches, but yeah, again, it didn't really have to be done in animation, but it also kind of did. There were a lot of stuff that couldn't really be done in any other medium. But then again, yeah, it didn't really need to be done like that either. So, again, it's a complete mixed bag. Like, it's pretty good and it's pretty bad at the same time. You don't really get why they had to do it, but you also do see why. It gets confusing with the animation, but it does still look really nice, and I will give it that. It does look very nice and colorful, except for when computer animation is put in which sometimes that'll just look kind of jagged and will easily stand out. So for the animation, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, really, I can't really decide anything else outside of that. It's pretty good animation, but yeah, there are also quite a few contradictions with it. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Let's just get on to the songs. The animation part is kind of confusing, but it does look very nice. I do want to say that. It does look very nice, and as a sucker for 2D animation, yeah, I do still really like it. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Let's just get on to the songs. Alright, so now when it comes down to the songs, I don't really like them that much. Yeah, I know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, Elton John is a pretty good singer and artist and stuff in music, and I just don't like him. I just really don't like his songs. Like, okay, sure, he'll have some good songs sometimes, but to me, I just don't really like him. But Hey, at least they did get the team from The Lion King who did the music for that back together, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm still not an Elton John fan, and he sings all but one of the songs in this movie, and half of the time the songs aren't really needed. Like, during Miguel falling in love with the city thing, oh my god, did you need a song there? No, you didn't. The scene spoke for itself. You didn't need a song, all you needed was the music. The same can be said for the scene that I actually rewound to put it on mute so then I could see what it's like without that stupid beating over your head song with bad lyrics when I looked into the lyrics. Seriously, I looked into the lyrics for this one song and the lyrics were really weird. But that song is the one that's going on when Tulio and Miguel are just looking over the city and are separating and going their own ways. And God, I hate that one song in this movie. Seriously, this is my least favorite song in this whole film. Why? Because for one, the scoring behind it is actually pretty good. Yeah, the scoring going on in the background is actually pretty nice to listen to, and would have been good just on the scene. It would have created more of an impact than Elton John singing, "Friends separate, but they'll always get back together. Don't worry about it." Seriously, why did he need to be doing that? Really, am I the only one who didn't like that one bit? Seriously, I really hate that one song. But yeah, another thing that I really don't like about that one song is that the characters say enough with their facial expressions and the way they're acting. You don't need the song. It doesn't need to beat you over the head. It's like a jump scare. You don't need them you don't need it if it's not needed. It just, I really hate this one song. Okay? You guys got that? Good, because I'm not done ranting about it. I really do think that it didn't need to be put in there, and when I rewound the scene and put it on mute, it was actually a whole lot better. You could just appreciate the animation and looking at their facial expressions, which said it all for the scene. You didn't need the stupid song in the background just explaining to you what they already explained. They already explained to you what this means. You don't need to hear it again. Ow, I got really angry about that. I don't really regret it. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one. Maybe I still might have some other things to rant about with that song. I don't know. But, yeah, the next one is... Yeah, okay, I will say there are some kind of good songs from Elton John in this. Yeah, I know, I just got done ranting about his songs, but yeah, there are some of them that are kind of good. But yeah, I still really like his singing voice. Am I the only one who doesn't? Like, really, am I the only one? But anyway, those songs I think were okay by him were the opening song, which I think it's okay, and The Trail We Blaze, which is probably my second favorite song out of this movie. But now let's get on to my favorite, which is the only one not sung by Elton John. Thank goodness! Really hate you, Elton John, sometimes. I really hate you. But, yeah, the one that I don't like is the one that's not sung by him, which is It's Tough to Be a God. And this one is sung by the two main characters, and this one's pretty fun. I will say that. Now, one thing that I do really like about this song is that something that I actually didn't really get to talk about with the characters because I forgot, but I'll talk about it now. The two actors for Tulio and Miguel, one thing that made this movie a little bit harder to make was that they actually performed in the same room. Yeah, most of the time voice acting would happen in separate little booths, but here they performed in the same one. And with that just makes the song that came across a whole lot better. I mean, really, I really do like how the song came across. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of colorful bits with it, and the fact that they're getting drunk during it does kind of explain why it's a bit of a trip out moment. So, yeah, at least it has an explanation. And I honestly think that it is pretty well done. It does explain sort of everything that we need to hear about it and how they're feeling about the scenario and doesn't beat you over the head with it. Stupid Elton John song. And yeah, I honestly did think that it was done pretty well. So yeah, that one was by far my favorite out of all of them, but it doesn't really elevate my score of it. Oh, and also one thing I wanted to bring up about them talking in the same booth together, they would also freestyle off of themselves sometimes. Some of those lines would actually end up in the film. Like, it will be loquacious to a fault. Yeah, that line amazingly didn't come from DreamWorks. No, the actor just came up with it on the spot and they really liked it, so they used it. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. There are some nice little moments like that. So, yeah, for the songs, all of the ones with Elton John, I will have to give those ones a 5. I really don't like Elton John, or at least not as a singer. I'm sure as a person he's a fine guy, I don't know. But yeah, I really don't like his songs a lot, and here there are some times when they were really unneeded and just got annoying. So yeah, there are some of them that are okay, but to me, yeah, these Elton John songs got very annoying. And for It's Tough to Be a God, gotta give it a 7. I like that one. Yeah, I know I never separated the songs and who sings them, but for this one it feels needed. I really don't like you, Elton John. I really don't. So, what do I think of this movie overall? Well, it's kind of the same way that I feel about the animation. There are good and bad stuff to it. Now, for some of the bad stuff, some of the songs, especially from Elton John, get kind of grating at times and are pretty annoying, and are also sometimes unnecessary. But they can also be good at times, and also be pretty cool, even. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing. And also for the story, it can be pretty cliched at times. Okay, yeah, really cliched at times. And also can be kind of boring even. And a bit dark and adult at times. But it's also pretty fun and does have some good execution here and there and some pretty funny moments. And there are some things that save the movie, like the characters. They're very likable at times, and honestly, I do really enjoy them. They have a lot to them, even ones that don't appear that often. They can still have a presence. But then there's also things like the animation, which can be beautiful at times, and also pretty awesome. But then there are also moments where it's not really... But then there are also moments where you think that it doesn't even need to be animation, which it kind of doesn't. And also, yeah, really, some of the computer animated stuff just looks so weird. I mean, honestly, was it that hard to draw barrels? Seriously, even I can draw a barrel. It's not that hard. It's not hard at all, actually. Drawing a barrel is not hard. Why do they need to do computer-generated barrels? I really don't get that. Especially since you put 2D characters in it. Why did you need to do 3D barrels? Is that like the key essential? Without those barrels, the movie would have fallen apart? Or barrels too hard to draw for you guys? Yeah, drawing a city of gold, now that's easy, but drawing barrels, that's really hard, and that's something that we are not able to do. I mean, really, what's up with that? But yeah, I do still kind of enjoy this movie, but I can see the flaws. Actually, I do enjoy this movie a lot. It's my third favorite DreamWorks movie. But yeah, there are a lot of aspects that, I won't lie, are kind of bad. So yeah, I can see the flaws in this movie, but I also see a lot of the upsides to it. So for this movie, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said before, there are a lot of pluses and minuses to it, and I think the best way to watch this movie is go in expecting something okay. Pretty much just expect something okay, and then you'll probably have a fun time watching it. Actually, the first time that I watched this, and the first time that I really got invested in this movie, was I was just really bored one night and found it online and decided, okay, I'll watch it. I mean, I heard about it being a DreamWorks movie and I hadn't seen it before, so yeah, I just sort of found it online and watched it. I was really bored, and it was like 3 in the morning, but I ended up having a lot of fun with it, so much so that I even watched it over again. So, yeah. If you go in with kind of a bored, if you go in kind of bored and stuff, and you just kind of want to put on a movie, then you'll probably have a lot more fun with this film. But if you expect some great things to come out of it, yeah, I might want to bump down those expectations. So yeah, 7 out of 10, I think it's a pretty good movie. And next week, and the week after that, I will be gone. So, yeah, I'll be gone on vacation. So, yeah, I probably won't be able to get a review during that time. And I guess in between now and then, I'll just think of a review to do because really I don't have an idea right now. So, you guys can leave something if you want me to review something. I'll be glad to do it. Really, leave your recommendations if you have something. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good movie. Bye.